Welcome to another Round the Grounds episode and another Talking Clubs. Today it's the third episode, sorry Matt, and we've got a special guest. Today we're talking Gillingham Football Club and no one other than Matt from Gills in the Blood TV, who's become a really good friend of mine now, obviously with the vlogging, and we met at Donny earlier this season, so I thought, got to get you on, and we've been trying to do this for some weeks, haven't we? But obviously with Christmas fast approaching, it's been a struggle, but we've got us cups of tea, we're ready to go, so we're going to talk Gillingham Football Club. Just introduce yourself if anyone doesn't know who you are.
Matt, I run Gills in the Blood YouTube channel. We're also on Twitter. I'm sure you've probably seen me. Whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, I'll let you decide. We've got an Instagram page. We've got an invite Facebook page only. That's sort of just generally Gills fans though. But yeah, in terms of public social media, YouTube, Instagram and Twitter is obviously the places to find us. We do 3 regular shows a week generally. Obviously Christmas is completely different because family and that type of thing takes priority, but the rule is match preview that goes out on a Wednesday evening. Any match days that we're at, we do a vlog, and then we do a match day review show that goes out on a Sunday evening, looking back on the Saturday game, and we do other series, Gills in the Blood Chats too, which is trying to get ex-players on, and we get some current players now, which is brilliant, but yeah, generally legends. Gills in the Pub is another series we do. There's 3 Gills fans that sit down probably once every couple of months to discuss what's been going on between episodes and that type of thing. So yeah, there's plenty to keep us busy, and yeah, this is something I've been looking forward to do. You're absolutely flying, which is great to see. And like you say, we met at Doncaster end of September. And we talk regularly on social media, and yeah, definitely class you as a mate now. That's basically it. If you don't like football, don't follow any of my social media.
yeah, that's exactly right. Because that's all it is on mine. I'm just football.
Yeah, literally, that is all it is.
Well, no, you're great content. Like I said, class you as a really good pal now. We always chat about football and just vlogs, and it's great to finally do this. Obviously, Talking Clubs, it's the 3rd episode. In case anyone didn't know the process, we just talk about the relevant football team that is Gillingham today. So there's 8 questions, I think. We're going to dive into them, and then at the end there's a quick fire 5, so quick sharp answers for Matt to go through regarding Gillingham, and then little bits and bobs. But yeah, we're looking forward to getting into this and hearing your stories about Gillingham Football Club. So firstly, Matt, why Gillingham? Why did you come to support Gillingham Football Club?
God, it's a long time ago now. Show me age. First game, I think, was April '89. I think my dad took me because it was affordable and it was league football. My dad's a Spurs fan. Where my mum and dad lived, there was local, very low non-league teams that I used to go along to, and I liked doing that. But I wanted to go and watch league football, so Gills was affordable to a dad and his son going along. Like I say, I couldn't tell you the team, I couldn't tell you who scored. I think we won 1-0. That was like the end of the 88-89 season. I then started going semi-regularly early 90s, and then all the time with my mates once I was sort of old enough to be allowed to go on the train, that type of thing. I mean, you're going back to the days where I could get to the ground, come home, get something to eat before and after, buy my ticket, not bunk the train.
We'll keep that one.
Buy a match programme all for a tenner. It was like, this is brilliant. This is like paperboy wages, and we're having a great time. So yeah, mid-90s was when I started going all the time. I think 92, 93, final day, Halifax. If you say that to a Gillingham fan, they know what it means. It's basically the day if we'd lost, we'd have got relegated and we'd have probably gone out of business. So that was the first time that I really understood that football meant something more than just being 2 sets of 11 players, and there was points riding on it. And yeah, luckily we won. We didn't go down, and Mr. Paul Scally saved us a couple of years later. And you know, we had some good times under Paul Scally, and the rest is history, I suppose, is the old saying. So yeah, I've been doing it a long time. Certainly long before the age of YouTube and football vlogging.
Yeah. You sort of look back at games. I watch old games all the time on telly, and you're like, well, that'd have been a great game to
cool.
Stuff
Absolutely,
like that. Imagine the views it'd get. But yeah, it's mad how football's like to, and just it's obviously massive social media and YouTube now. So obviously you touched on that season, Matt, the Halifax Great Escape. What would you class as your favourite season as a Gills fan?
It's always a toss-up between the two, which would be 98, 99, when we ended up losing at Wembley to Manchester City after being 2-0 up going into injury time, or the season after. Because I think at that time, a lot of teams had lost in the playoff final and ended up being relegated the season after. I remember we didn't start great 99, 2000, and we was all thinking, oh, Christ, we're in all sorts of bother here.
Yeah.
But then something clicked and we really kicked on. And obviously to go back to Wembley 12 months after chucking away a 2-goal lead against City. And I think you've seen on social media and reports over the years, if we'd beaten them, there's a chance they'd have gone out of business, or they certainly wouldn't be this sort of global superpower that they are now. And it's interesting that you look at the two teams and how their journeys have completely changed since that. I'm not saying we'd have been bought by the Arabs and become a superpower, but we might have gone a different route. They might have gone a different route, but no, Wigan was really good. But I think if you ask a lot of Gills fans, Lee, they'd say if you could put the Wigan result with the Man City day out, you'd have had almost the perfect storm, because City was like 78, 79,000. The Gallagher brothers were in attendance. I think it was the highest attended playoff final for the level, and I think it still might be. Wigan, no disrespect, they're a rugby town. So when we went back there and beat them, we had like the whole end at one end, and then they had about 9,000 fans in the top tier. So the atmosphere wasn't quite the same. Obviously, the main thing was that we got over the line. We managed to find a way to get promoted, and we had 5 brilliant years in what's the Championship now at the start of the millennium. So, I'd always say it's them 2 seasons for me. They were proper sides and what I'd call proper Gillingham sides. We didn't always have all the best players. We had a little bit of stardust, but every single player knew their job, and every single player would run through a brick wall for that team. Yeah.
Did you go to the Man City final?
Yeah. And I remember I walked out to the concourse at 2-1 after who got the first? Horlock, I think.
Yeah. Was it the Nicky Weaver penalty save? Was that?
Yeah, that's the shootout. Yeah. I think we only scored 1. But I remember walking out into the concourse at 2-1 and just seeing about what looked like a million Man City fans trying to run back up Wembley Way to get back in. Because they all wandered out. They was like, I'm going to go and get the train and go home. Yeah, and then obviously just extra time was just almost like a blur, and we didn't know what to do. The Gills players didn't know what to do. You've chucked away a 2-goal lead. You're literally seconds from this being the greatest day in the history of the club. And we all know how the penalty shootout went. It didn't go very well, and it's one of them. And then you always see these little weird stories, don't you, in football? And Paul Dickoff, who scored the equaliser, was best mates with Vince Bartram, our keeper, and they were best man for each other's weddings. And it was Paul Dickoff that broke his best mate's heart. And Dickoff went up, and Bartram had to stick it out for another season. And like I say, I'm just so pleased that, looking back, that we managed to get it done this season after and lay that ghost to rest. Because I know there's loads of Gills fans that still can't watch the Man City back in its entirety. I think we get to like 2-0 and then we just turn it off and pretend the rest didn't happen.
Yeah, I think on the balance of play, you were the better team on the day.
We were miles better than Man City that day. I don't care what anyone says. And I still remember, I don't know if any other Gills fans remember, I'm pretty sure we should have had a penalty in extra time. But obviously this is long before the days of massive multiple camera angles and VAR and all. Not that I like VAR, I absolutely despise VAR.
Yeah.
But at the time, I could have been quite handy to come in and it wouldn't have saved me the heartache of going home. I've never been on a quieter journey back from Wembley to where I live. Honestly, absolute silence for about 3 hours. It was the weirdest journey home. Nobody knew what to say. Nobody knew what to do. I think we was all just numb. Like, if you get beat, you get beat. Like, say we turned up and City had beat us 4-0. We'd all had the ump and you'd have gone fair play. But the way it happened, and then obviously there was the whole sort of sideshow of the referee apparently being spotted out with the City players afterwards, Mr. Mark House, who I know laughs about it now, and we can laugh about it now to a degree.
Yeah.
But honestly, it was the strangest, like most surreal journey back home. Like, no one said a word. It was just absolute silence all the way back from Wembley to Victoria and then all the way home.
Yeah, on the Mark Halsey, have you listened to the Under the Cosh podcast?
He talks about it, doesn't he? I've not brought myself to listen to it.
Yeah, he talks about it. It's quite funny because obviously he said, I did go out. I think he was joking, but yeah, talks about it quite a lot.
I imagine it's just a coincidence that he was in the same hotel, but obviously it's done a little bit more than it should have done.
Yeah, it's horrible Wembley when you lose, but it's the best feeling when you win. It's just.
I don't think you enjoy watching games at Wembley because you know how enormous they are. It's a final, and especially for clubs like Gillingham, Man City are now doing it basically annually. They turn up there; it's like a second home. But for teams like Gillingham, I mean, we've been there. We've been lucky. I've seen us play there 3 times, and I've seen us win twice as well. 2 at the old one and 1 at the new one. But there's a lot of clubs that don't even get to Wembley, so it's not a game that you just basically feel sick. I think for the entirety of the game, and then like you say, you just get this massive release at the end, one way or the other. It's either the worst kind of heartache or it's the most wonderful kind of elation that you just want to bottle up and resell forever in a day. I think.
Yeah. Are you? So this is a side question. Are you a new Wembley or old Wembley?
I like both, but old Wembley.
Yeah, I never went to a game to watch at the old Wembley. I just did a ground tour, I think, when I was at school. So I've never been to a game there, but it was just iconic it was just an iconic stadium.
I see Gills lose to City, beat Wigan, and I saw England lose to Brazil.
Yeah.
Do you remember the Umbro Cup the year before the Euro 96? Yeah, and that was the team. I think Gaza was coming back from injury. There was like a big sort of thing around him starting, and he came off the bench. It was unbelievable, the atmosphere. But like Ronaldo, the first one, the proper one for those that.
Yeah. He was really young then, wasn't he? Really.
Yeah, I think he'd been at the World Cup the year before, and I think he just started to sort of break into the team. But they still had like Romario and Bebeto in front of him, and I remember Graham Lasso scored an absolute worldie to put England 1-0 up, and then Brazil went, "Now we're going to start playing now." I think Ronaldo, Juninho, Edmundo, Bebeto, Romario. They had, I think Taffarel was the key. It was a ridiculous side, like honestly, such a good side. And they were brilliant. But so I saw England once, Gills twice at the old Wembley, and I've seen an England game. I've seen obviously Gills beat Shrewsbury 1-0. In a playoff final as well, so I can't complain in terms of seeing my club at a national stadium. To have 2 out of 3 is a fairly tidy record.
Yeah, it's a good record actually. Some have been and they've never seen the team where.
Well, we had loads of our squad, like when we won at Wembley in 2000, that had been to Wembley the year before with us. The likes of Carlos Saba, Bob Taylor, I think Paul Smith, Barry Ashby. There's a couple of others that had played for Brentford, and they'd lost 2 playoff finals for Brentford as well. So I think it was like something ridiculous, like 4th or 5th time lucky for some of our players that had just lost continuous playoff finals up until that win over Wigan. So I think there was more than just the Man City ghost laid to rest that day for a lot of the team.
Yeah, 100%. So we've touched on your favourite season. I'm going to go for your favourite ever Gills shirt.
Oh God!
I know you've quite a collection.
I have, I've got too many for the wife's liking, and she's not here at the moment. She's at work, thankfully.
I've just dropped this question in this morning because I'm big on my football kits, and I know you've got a class collection.
I've got far too many. I've got over 100 Gills shirts.
You just pick them up online?
eBay, classic football shirts. I've been lucky enough that players have donated to me. These ones up here. This one. Yeah. I'm trying. Which finger? That way.
Yeah.
That one there. That's 97, 98. That's all signed as well. That one, you can't see it there. And then obviously right behind me is last season's 3rd shirt signed by Sean Williams.
Yeah.
And then going the other way, I got Alex McDonald. That's the shirt he wore when Gills knocked Brentford out of the League Cup last season.
Yeah.
I've got other ones, sort of Maxima FA Cup shirts. I think one with a poppy as well, which are quite hard to get hold of. So I've got a lot of duplicates. Like, I might have 3 or 4 of the same kit, but I do my channel because I love it, and I don't get anything in terms of monetary rewards. But I think if people appreciate what you do, you are a little bit lucky sometimes, and you might get the odd shirt chucked away. I remember Verdane Oliver sent me a shirt at the end of the COVID season and just said, thanks for all your support. Like, he just messaged me out the blue on Instagram.
Right,
and said, I have your address. And I was like, why do you need my address? And he was like, just give me your address, you'll like it. And he sent me a shirt and he'd signed it and he'd written a message on it. That used to be where the Sean Williams one is. But he left, so I took it down. No, in terms of favourite ones, I love all the 80s and the 90s ones. I've managed to get quite a load of like really good remakes of them because I can't afford the proper ones because they go for stupid money.
Yeah, that's fair.
In terms, I think you always sort of think of favourite shirts with favourite seasons, so it's almost intrinsically linked. So I'd say the yellow Medway News from the Wembley game that we beat Wigan, that's always going to be a favourite just because of what it means and what it represents. Like I say, I really like the older ones. Neil Smith, who played for us in the 90s, was generous enough after I'd interviewed him to send me a match-worn shirt from the 92-93 season. Honestly, it was so battered, I had to give it to my mum to sew up like the shoulders and that because he just obviously played in, so it had all been ripped. But yeah, I don't wear that one because obviously Neil Smith in 92 was a lot slimmer than Matt is in 2023. That's a nice one. 1990-91 home shirt Ribeiro, that's a really interesting one. The design's like proper strange, like sort of blue and white flecks. I've got far too many. I could sit here at football shirts for probably all day if we had the time, but no, I think if I had to say one, I'd just because of what it represents, probably the 2000 yellow Medway News shirt.
You always have your favourites, don't you? I'd like to see you always pop up with your shirts when you go into your match days, and it's class to see the old retro one.
Well, then this isn't a shirt, but this is one of my favourite pieces now, and this is what I put on Twitter at Christmas Day.
Yeah, that's unbelievable. Who did that?
This is the missus got me this, and she absolutely hates football, and so we've done all the presents, and then it was just us three Christmas morning, and she said, like, you've got to open it together. And she sent it off to a company called Memories Made.
Right.
And it's basically you can see the photo. No, this way. There. That's the print of me and Ava walking to Walsall away last season. And she got it embroidered onto hoodies. And it's honestly, I cry at most things now due to mental health and that type of thing. But yeah, that definitely brought a tear to the eye for what it is. And obviously the fact that Net, bless her, she hates football. So for her to do that was unbelievable.
Yeah, it's outstanding. When I seen it, I was like, wow, like I could imagine how you felt opening
that one. That was really well received.
Yeah, 100%. So we've talked about your favourite season. I'm going to go for a favourite moment, goal, just a moment that you always look back at, or a funny time being a Gills fan.
Favourite moment, again, will be linked to the previous two answers, which would be Andy Thompson.
Yeah.
The commentary for Gills fans is absolutely iconic. Like Ty Gooden, it is a good one. And then just Andy Thompson flings himself in front of the Wigan centre half. And finally, we knew that we were going to the promised land of the second tier for the first time ever. That was unbelievable. Again, it's like you said right at the top of the show, if there were games that you could have vlogged. Oh my word. I'd have been an absolute mess, but it had been brilliant to have some sort of video footage to keep from it. I mean, all you rely on is sort of old Panasonic photos if you're lucky from them sort of games. But it probably has to be that. That has to be the biggest moment. FA Cup run 99-2000 was unreal as well. Nicky Southall's volley to knock Sheffield Wednesday out in the fourth round. Memory's not as good as it used to be.
I think it was fifth.
We got all the way and lost to Chelsea in the quarterfinals that season. That was kind of iconic because the Medway stand, the main stand at Gills, was still being rebuilt, and John Motson, God rest his soul, was put up in some sort of temporary commentary box, and they put up a temporary stand to increase the capacity for that game. And it was odd watching the opening credits for Match of the Day that weekend and listening to Gary Lineker talking about the Gills, and there's like a panoramic view of some old deers washing like fluttering above the skyline as they pan in onto Priestfield Stadium. That was unbelievable. I suppose one that people from the outside might forget would be Andy Hessenthaler's strike at the Britannia Stadium away to Stoke in the playoffs. The season we ended up going up, we were 3-1 down with a minute to go, and Hesse had the ball about 40 yards out, and I think he always jokes with his best mate Nicky Southall, who was screaming in the pass, and Hesse just ran forward and absolutely smashed one in from about 40 yards or something ridiculous. Changed the whole complexion of the tie. To go back to Priestfield and only being one behind, I think absolutely probably won the tie for us because Stoke lost their heads in the second leg and had 2 sent off. But I always remember they were still in the tie. right up until the end, and then we got too late on to win 3-0. But it actually looked more comfortable than if you'd seen the game in its entirety. But yeah, I'd say the Andy Hessenthaler, for people that are not Gills fans and wouldn't maybe understand, that was massive, because I think if that hadn't gone in, I'm not sure we'd have gone back to Wembley and been promoted. So that's a big one. More recently, staying up at Northampton last day of 2016-17, that was an emotional one, purely because our game finished and we knew we had to match Port Vale's result.
Yeah.
But there'd been a delay at Fleetwood against Port Vale, so we'd finished 0-0. So we knew that if they didn't win, we were safe. So literally everyone's huddled around like betting apps and Sky Sports apps, and the players were out on the pitch looking at phones, and we were waiting for this 10-minute delay. And luckily it came through that we'd managed to survive by the skin of our teeth. But obviously a few years later it did catch up with us, and that's why we're in League Two at the moment. But, you know, when you do these sort of chats, Lee, you do realise that your football club's had a lot of good moments and a lot of good players. And I think we appreciate it more down lower league because of the fact that it doesn't happen as often.
Yeah, 100%, yeah. And points always trigger your memories back as well to games and moments and seasons. Like I did a chat on Wednesday, there was so much I left out, but I could have included that's been memorable. Being a Wednesday fan, it's just it's iconic. So, Matt, what does Gillingham Football Club mean to you?
Everything. It's like you know, it's my thing. Aside from my wife and kids and my family, it's I don't know what life would be like without it.
Yeah.
I didn't deal with it well through COVID. When we couldn't go and watch games, I absolutely hated it. It's that for all of us, it means our football club is an out, isn't it? It's a stress relief. I know it stresses us out in different ways watching our football team because we love it so much and we do get into it. And my wife always winds me up when she goes, "Oh, it's just a game," and she says it now just to annoy me, and it does annoy me. But it isn't. It's much more than that. We invest a lot of time and a lot of love into it, and it's hard when you see your team struggling. But again, you go back to the other end of the spectrum. It's absolutely wonderful if your team does have any modicum of success. And again, I'll go back to the point about being a lower league fan. You appreciate it a lot more when it does come around, because it doesn't come around that much. Obviously forgot your Wednesday then when I was talking about the Nicky Southall volley. I should have spoken about it a bit longer, shouldn't I?
No, we'll leave that one, man.
But then I was there 4 years previously as well when Chris Waddle scored an absolutely worldie in front of me. And you beat us 2-1 after Kevin Pressman had been sent off. So there was a couple of games there, But then obviously we got our own back when Nicky Southall sent that volley over Pavel Cernacek, God rest his soul, as well. But yeah, it means everything. It's like, I wouldn't put so much effort into doing a channel and a Facebook, Instagram, Twitter page if it didn't mean that much. And like, I'll talk to anyone, and I've said this to you, and I've said this to everybody else. I'll sit and chat and discuss and disagree and debate with anyone until the cows come home in something I believe in, as long as it's done the right way.
Yeah.
Then I'll sit and chat to anyone. I get everyone's got an opinion on everything, and that's fine. And I know that we don't all see things the same way.
Yeah.
And that's what makes the world go round, isn't it? We all have different opinions on different subjects, and that doesn't just apply to football as well. But it means loads. Of course it does. You invest your time into it. You go and follow your team up and down the country and spend that amount of money. You can't do it and just have this cold approach to it, an emotionless approach. It's impossible.
Yeah, 100%. And if you all agreed, it'd be boring, wouldn't it?
Of course it would, yeah, exactly. There's nothing to talk about. Wouldn't be able to do these types of shows. Wouldn't be able to do match day vlogs, match previews, any type of show, because if everyone says the same thing, no one's going to watch it.
Exactly, mate. So Gillingham, obviously, in League Two, as you've said, after last season, a poor start, and then you picked up, obviously, with new owners. Just touch on that, Matt. How do you think things are going for the club? Obviously, transition from last season into this.
You probably read my article about Neil Harris and Stephen Clements and the owners a few days ago, and I got absolutely bashed on Twitter, but that's fine. It's my opinion, and I'll stick by it. And other people have different opinions; they can stick by that. Like I said, that's fine, and that's what makes us individual, and that's what makes us have these chats. But you can't say it's not been a brilliant year under the Gallants, and since they came in 23rd of December 2022. We can sit here and talk about the last couple of months have been tricky, and Brad and Shannon know my feelings on it. I've been lucky enough to speak to Brad about it when the club shop opened, and he knows that I didn't agree with the sacking of Neil Harris, but I think someone tweeted the other day and said it's our 4th highest amount of wins in a calendar year. So you can't say it's been a bad season, a bad 12 months. Yes, we're miles better than where we were at this stage last year. We're in a much healthier position on and off the pitch, and I get that. But that doesn't mean that we stand still, and that doesn't mean that we just go, oh, well, we'll settle for this now. And I'm still not 100% convinced that Stephen Clements is the right man. And what frustrates me, Lee, on social media is I think that some people don't seem to get that you can talk about a previous manager and still support the man that's currently in charge. And that was all that I was doing. I still don't think sacking Neil Harris was the right decision specifically at that time as well. I don't think we've heard the full story in terms of why he went. I don't think personally it was just football reasons, but you know,
what position was you in when he got sacked?
8th and 4 points off top.
Yeah, so it's a strange one, isn't it? So you like you just touched on, there's got to be something else.
For me, it came too sudden. We lost at Crewe on the Tuesday, and then suddenly Thursday morning he was gone. For me, there was. Yeah. I think there was more to it, but you know, if there wasn't, then fair enough. I have to take the owners at face value. They've not given me any reason to think that they're going to be underhand. But it just seemed a very strange time. And I've said if you wanted that massive change of direction that we were told about when the stacking happened, then why didn't you just say thanks to Neil at the end of last season and say we're going to go in a different direction now and give a manager the whole summer to recruit a side that would play the way the owners wanted us to play? Yeah. That's my beef with it. But you know, we won Friday night. We end the year well, and we have to take it as a massive plus that having been bang average for 3 months and very inconsistent, we're only 3 points off the top 7.
Yeah,
we're not scoring enough still. That's been a problem for years and years now. I think someone posted on Twitter earlier today that since the start of 2019, we've averaged 1.01 goals per game, which is woeful. That doesn't get you to the top portions of the table, or at least it shouldn't. So to be 3 points off the top 7 and still well in the mix with half a season to play, we have to take that as a huge positive. If we can have a January window that's as fruitful and improve as much as we did last season from January to the end of the campaign, then I don't think we'll be that far away. But do I trust Stephen Clements to improve us as much as Neil Harris did in that period last season? I'm not sure yet. Yeah. But that doesn't mean I won't be there every week. That doesn't mean I won't be there against Sheffield United. It don't mean I won't be going to more away games and backing Stephen Clements and the boys and getting right behind them every single time that I attend a football match, because I'm a Gillingham Football fan at the end. People used to say to me, do you want Scally in or Scally out? And I used to say, I want Gillingham to be the best version of themselves. Yeah. So whether that means Paul Scally selling up and disappearing, whether that meant Paul Scally being in the background and someone coming in as a majority shareholder, like the Gallinsons, I just wanted Gillingham to be as good as they could be. And that's all I want Gillingham to be, as good as they can be on the pitch now. So if at the end of the season we've done all right, then Stephen Clements will have played a huge part in that. And I'll happily sit here and go, credit to Stephen Clements, credit to the owners if they've changed it up and it's the right call. But I've not seen enough yet to convince me that it was the right call, because points from the top, points from third, points from the top 7, goals scored, games won, goals conceded have all gone the wrong way.
Yeah. Yeah,
I get that it takes time, and I understand that, and Stephen probably does deserve a window.
Yeah.
But you've got to look at, all I will say on the subject to end it there is that I think there would have been some serious questions asked if we got turned over by Sutton Friday night. But thankfully we didn't, and we got the job done.
Yeah. I think we're club owners. I think fans get far too invested. I know clubs are run badly. I get that. Clubs are run badly, but I think we can't determine what happens, unfortunately. I think
and I'm not saying that Gills are being run badly. I think the Gallinsons have been absolutely brilliant for us. They really have. Yeah. And they were ballsy in sacking Neil Harris. I'll give them that. It was a huge call, and it was the first decision that they made where everyone went, oh. Even those that were Harris out, they were like, oh, this is brave that they've done it now. So I've got no issue with the Gallinsons at all. Brad and Shannon have been absolutely brilliant, and they did their research before they came in. They get what Gillingham's about. They get what we are as a fan base and what type of football club we are. Yeah. So I've got no issues with the Gallinsons at all, and I don't want people thinking that. Just because I disagree with one big decision that they've made doesn't make me think that they're doing a bad job, because they've done an absolutely wonderful job.
Yeah, 100%. And we all as football fans just want the best for what's going on the pitch, don't we? So obviously we've touched on what's gone on this season. So this seems a strange question because your answer is obviously going to be promotion. What do you see or want from the future for Gillingham Football Club?
Progress.
Yeah.
Whatever that is, relatively speaking. I've had this chat with loads of people over the years. Gillingham historically are a League Two or a League One football club. I'd say we're a League One football club. We're third tier. That's where the majority of our existence has been.
Yeah.
People who think that we have this almost right to be championship, we're not. We've been around for 130 odd years. We've spent 5 seasons at that level. So that's a very small percentage. But it doesn't mean you don't have to have ambition to try and get there. And it'll be great. But I just want progress at the moment. So I'd be disappointed if we didn't get in the playoffs this season because I backed us to be in the playoffs at the start of the season.
Yeah.
But I now understand there's this change because we've had to have this interim period, and we've now got a process in place where we're trying to implement a different style. So it might not quite come off. But like I said, we're 3 points off the playoffs, with half a season and a January transfer window to come. And I've already mentioned if we can be as proactive in the window and can be as good as we were for the last few months of last season again, then I don't think we'd be too far away. But obviously, wherever we finish this season, you then need to try and improve on it next. So if we finish 9th, then I think next season we'd have to be in the playoffs. If we get in the playoffs and fail to go up, then I suppose you say next year would be win the playoffs or get in the top 3. If we do go up, obviously it changes because you're saying consolidation in a division above straight away, which would be the sensible approach. But as long as I keep seeing signs that the Gallinsons are doing the right thing and we're improving on and off the pitch, then I'll be a happy fan.
Yeah, 100%. You've loaded my next question and the final question before we go on to the quick fire 5. Where do you see the club finishing this season? What position?
I said 6th in my pre-season predictions video, and I don't think we're a million miles off it, are we, at the moment? I'm just getting the league table up. 2 seconds. We're currently 4 points off 6th. So,
and I think teams have proven that you don't even have to have it's a tough league. I've said this numerous of times in my vlogs. A fantastic league at that, and I think fans don't need to get disheartened where you are sometimes because you're not a million miles off playoffs. Any team, I think, you look at the league table.
Our massive issue is we've been inconsistent. We can't string 5 sort of unbeaten together. We sort of go win, lose, draw, win, lose, draw, or something similar to that. If we can put a run together, then suddenly the gap to the top 3 wouldn't be a million miles. I mean, we're 11 points with half a season, so you're saying half a point a game. To gain on the top 3. It's not insurmountable. It'll be difficult because you're asking your Stockports and your Mansfields and your Wrexhams to drop off as well, and they're very good football sides.
Yeah.
So if you said to me now, is the top 3 achievable? I'd say yes, it is achievable. Do I think it's likely? No.
Yeah.
Is the top 7 achievable? 100%. Is that likely? Definitely more so. I'll be disappointed if we're not in the playoffs at the end of the season.
Yeah. Yeah, so playoffs, I think,
Especially given we sacked a manager when we were within touching distance of all them top 7 places. I think we have to be in the top 7 for it to be deemed a successful season.
100%, yeah. I can't even remember where I had you predicted. It was definitely playoffs above start of the season. So, yeah, be interesting. January, obviously, recruitment, see if they have a good push and a good go at it for years.
Yeah, I think there'll be a couple that go out before some come in. But yeah, we're not a million miles away. This is the thing. But then the trouble is we've said if we'd score more goals, we'd be brilliant. But we've said that for 3 years. So it's not changed. So we can't sit here and rely on that happening overnight. January's notoriously hard to get players in. Who's going to sell us a 20-goal a season striker middle of the season? Because if they're a 20-goal a season striker, why are they leaving that football club unless we have to pay stupid money, which I don't think we would do. So we'll have to be clever. We'll have to be proactive. We'll have to be a little bit smart with it. I thought January's business last year was really good. If we can get anywhere near that, then hopefully we'll be all right. And if we can keep everyone fit, that always helps as well.
Yeah, Lee Gregory's been linked with a League Two club. Be interested to see if it you boys.
I saw that. If Neil Harris was still in charge, I'd have gone, that's us, because obviously he played from at Millwall. But I'm not sure it is us now. I wouldn't be surprised if he goes Cambridge.
Yeah, I think he's linked with Cambridge. But I'm sure he had a few clubs in League Two, and there were one sniffing around from League Two. So it'd be interesting to see him like what. Well, no, enjoyed that. So now we'll go on to his quick fire five. I always like these questions.
Okay.
So firstly, Matt, favourite footy scran at a game? It doesn't have to be at home. It could be anywhere.
I don't eat loads at football matches, so I'd have to say Doncaster away this season. That was unreal.
Yeah,
that was really good. That was the chili and cheese,
sweet chili loaded fries,
sweet chili loaded chicken fries. They were unbelievable. So I'd go for that, and it was decent value as well.
Yeah. So,
and a shout out to Forest Green, because I know I laugh about it because they're vegan. The chips were brilliant.
Yeah.
The tea was decent, even though I had to have oat milk, and the chicken nuggets were all right as well. So a little shout out to Forest Green. not my first choice, but it wasn't as awful as I thought it was going to be.
What tea were it though? This is a big question. What Yorkshire tea were it?
I don't know. The tea bag was in the cup. So I have Yorkshire tea indoors. I do drink Yorkshire tea indoors. It's the only one you have to have.
Oh yeah, I know I like you, Matt, mate.
Talk shit about football, but he loves a good cup of tea.
Yeah, I love it. Favourite ever Gills player?
Bob Taylor.
Yeah.
This is going back. So we signed him in summer of '98, and he didn't score for a while, and he was getting dog's abuse off us as fans. They thought he was overweight. And then you're going back to the day when if you was going along at half a goal a game as a striker, you was top class. Yeah. I think there was a period before he left us in November '99 to go to Man City. I think he'd scored something ridiculous, like 18 goals in 15 games. There was 2 hat-tricks. I remember one game I always talk about. He come on after about 45 minutes, 55 minutes against Bristol City. It was the worst game you've ever seen. And I laughed at Bob when I interviewed him for the channel, and he said he was warming up with Tony Thorpe, who was at Bristol City. Bear in mind, this was Tony Pulis' first game back after leaving the Gills as well. And it was 0-0. And Bob Taylor come on half fit and scored the most ridiculous hat-trick I've ever seen in my life. I've never seen a professional footballer at any level strike a ball as clean as Bob Taylor. He hit one free kick from the wrong side, so it was left-footed side, and he went inside to out over the keeper. Yeah. And then bent another one in the top corner. He scored one from 6 yards out. Honestly, I've never seen a player in such a rich vein of form as I did Bob Taylor for that period. He was absolutely frightening. So for me, it has to be Bob Taylor.
Bob Taylor, yeah. Good run. Favourite away ground in the EFL?
Been to a few shockers this season and last year. No disrespect to League Two clubs, but
it don't have to be League Two. It could be just obviously your full Gillingham journey.
I would say 2 in terms of an away day and the fact that the side that we was playing were brilliant at the time. I'm going to go back to 2018-19. We went to Luton and we were like bottom half, and Luton were running away with League One.
Yeah,
that's when they had the 2 young wing backs that ended up going at the Premier League, James Justin, and they had Jack Stacey, I think, the other side, who went to Bournemouth. Yeah. They were an absolute joke that season, and we went there and drew 2-2. Kenilworth Road's famous, isn't it, for this? Where you can basically walk through someone's back garden. You can see in everyone's bedroom windows. That for me is absolute class. It's a proper football ground. The fact that we went there and got something and went toe-to-toe with the team that won the league was just a really good day. Luke O'Neill scored one of the best free kicks I've seen live. So that's right up there. And I'd have to say Tottenham away as well. Back in 2016, there was just so much for me. Obviously, Justin Edinburgh, God rest his soul, was our manager. So he was going back to his club to take on Tottenham. We got bashed on the day. To be fair, Spurs played a decent side. I think they had Vincent Janssen up front, Ericsson, Lamella started, Harry Winks ran the show, and I said he'd play 100 times for England. He's let me down since then. But we couldn't get near them. White Hart Lane was just starting to be torn down, like the corner had gone because they were getting ready to move. But my dad's a Spurs fan, so for me there was a massive link and an emotional tie to it in that way as well. And yeah, it was a proper football ground. Like, it wasn't one of the biggest, and I know they've probably got the best stadium in the world now in terms of facilities and how it looks, the new Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. But for me, because of my dad being a Spurs fan, it was my club going to my dad's club. Yeah, Tottenham away was brilliant. Yeah, we were unreal in terms of atmosphere that year as well. We took thousands, and we didn't stop singing until the final whistle. That was just a really good day. So yeah, I'd say they're two of my favourites. There'll be one that I forget and will text you about in about an hour when I remember stop recording.
I look forward to that. I hope it's Hillsborough, mate.
Did do Hillsborough a couple of years ago, the relegation season. We were good that day, drew 1-1. I think we took the lead. Dane Oliver scored.
Yeah.
And then he came off injured. Our captain, Carl Dempsey, came off injured, and you equalised. Yeah, we had a kid starting at left back that day because we had so many injuries. Yeah, I love proper football stadiums. Like Hills was a proper football stadium.
Yeah.
Like, we talk about Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, it looks incredible. The facilities are unreal. I want to go and watch a game there. But they're all a bit generic.
Yeah.
Tottenham Stadium, Emirates, all these new ones, they're just a big bowl.
Yeah.
Proper old school football stadiums, Goodison, Villa Park, Hillsborough, Ellen Road.
Yeah.
Give me them every day of the week. Which is why I get quite defensive when people moan about the Priestfield. I get that stand is horrendous and it's been there for too long. But the other three sides, I think, are decent for where we are. And I see people moaning about that, and they're like, "Oh, and we like going to Rochdale, no disrespect." And I'm like, "Hang about. Ours is a bit nicer than that, surely. Just wear a coat. Just wear a coat."
Just wear a coat, yeah. I think I can't remember what game it was. I've definitely been to Gillingham. I think it was when I lived down in London. I lived in Kent, so it wasn't a million miles away, but I can't remember what game it was. I think it was a dreadful game. I'll have to look it up.
Probably was if it was chilled.
Yeah. We were shocking on day, and I'll have to message you later because I've always wanted.
I take it was against Wednesday.
Yeah, Wednesdays. Yeah. Obviously, Roman doorstep.
Got to be going back to like the early 2000s then when Gills won the championship.
Yeah, that'll be what I'll message you later, mate. Because I'm sure it was January time, but I can't remember the year or season.
What that cup game was it? That Nicky Southall one?
It could. Did you beat us that day 1-0?
No, beat you 3-1 in that cup game, didn't we? You took the lead. You took the lead that day in that cup game when we beat you 3-1. I think Gerald Sibon scored. Or it went down as an own goal.
The one. That is the one, yeah.
And then we turned around and went towards the Rainier second half with the wind, and we scored. I think Andy Thompson scored header.
Yeah.
Mark Saunders put one in the bottom corner, and then Southall scored that ridiculous volley that the wind took all the way into the top corner.
Yeah, that's the one. Because I remember there was always a decent chippy on corner with banging chips.
I'm trying to think where that would have been. There was one we always used to use. So if you came out the ground, so like where the away supporters used to be, and then you walk down, it used to be Sandoos. They used to do decent shit.
That's the one, yeah.
We used to go there all the time before. That was in the days of when I weren't bunking the train.
Yeah, because we always laughed, me and my dad and brother were like, "Oh, Gillingham, decent chips there, decent chips."
Yeah, we used to enjoy going there. If that was religious for home games, we'd go there,
Yeah, banging chips. Best away fans to come to the Priestfield.
Cool, there's been some. Best away fans. I was going to sound weird, but I remember Notts County coming down back end of 2014-15, and they had to beat us to stay up. And they was 1-0 up with about a minute to play, and we equalised. And as soon as we equalised, they was basically down. So they basically had to just lob everyone up front because they had to score. And we ended up beating them 3-1. We scored like 3 times in 4 minutes in injury time. And I remember they brought loads and loads down. That always sticks out in my mind. I'm not saying they were the loudest or anything like that, but I just thought to bring that amount of numbers for a game where you was essentially getting relegated was phenomenal. Yeah. And they're a football club that was out of the Football League for too long. They're a Football League club and always have been. So yeah, that always sticks in my mind. I mean, obviously the bigger clubs always bring bigger followings, which makes for a better atmosphere. If I remember rightly, West Ham were really loud 3 years ago when we played them in the FA Cup. They were decent. We always get, decent atmospheres because we don't have a proper rival. This is the trouble with us. Since Maidstone went out of the Football League, it's kind of engineered, but we don't play each other anywhere regularly enough for it to be a proper rivalry for me. So we sort of have this loose one with like Charltons and Millwalls and that type of thing. And then we've got this historical one with Swindon because something that happened years and years ago. I think the games where they're always a bit niggly. Preston was always decent. I'm not saying their fans were brilliant, but we always used to have good battles with Preston in the late 90s. They all seemed to come up at the same time as us. I think 95, 96, we came up together. Hessenthaler versus Sean Gregan was always a good battle, so that always got the fans involved. It's difficult, isn't it? Trying to think of a specific game who brings loads, but I always go back to the Notts County one because they bought absolutely loads, and they was, like I say, they was effectively down. They needed a miracle, and they very nearly pulled it off. But as soon as we scored, that was it, and they ended up playing. I think they just had Roy Carroll in goal and then 10 strikers for the last 5 minutes, and we picked them off. But,
Roy Carroll.
Yeah, I think that was one of his last seasons in the professional game.
Yeah, and they went down to National League then. Well,
no, that was from League One into the League Two, and then I think they went down from League Two into the National League a few years after that, and spent a few years down there. But yeah, that always sticks in my mind that there was loads of them. There's one moment that wasn't an away fan that always makes me laugh. When we beat Cardiff at home in the FA Cup in January 2019, I think it was their centre half come and cleared it second half. Sean Morrison, I think it was their captain.
Yeah,
booted it into like the top tier of the Medway stand, and some silly sod who was the front row of the top tier decided to try and catch it and overbalanced. And I thought, like, he's going to die. He's gone, and his feet up, head down, and luckily his mates grabbed him. I just remember laughing, like, because once we knew he was all right, that this geezer had like tried to head a ball or catch a football, and nearly plummeted down into the bottom tier of the Medway stand. Like,
really?
It's all right now because he was okay, but it could have been fairly like serious if he'd come down because he'd have just been landed on a concrete. But thank God he was all right. He probably had a beer and probably wouldn't have felt it anyway. But yeah, that was a strange moment. But yeah, I can't get away from Notts County. I thought that final day of 2014-15, they were phenomenal, the amount they bought.
Yeah, and then last one of the quick fire 5-0s like this one. One player you could sign if you were the owner of Gillingham or manager that you could sign past or present for this current Gillingham side.
Bob Taylor.
Yeah.
Left foot, right foot, header. He knew where the goal was. We don't. Yeah. So Bob Taylor, 100%.
Yeah, it's got to get him in.
Yeah, absolutely. To be fair, I'll play him now.
Yeah,
he's about 55, bless him.
So that wraps up the questions. Obviously, you've touched on the mental health that you've been struggling for the past few months, Matt. Absolute legend for speaking out about it. I don't think people do it enough. So, yeah, absolute commend you for doing that because you've helped a lot of people. A lot of people have reached out to you and just on Twitter and whatnot, and obviously coming up to your games. Do you want to talk about how things are going with that?
Things are a lot better. Yeah, thank you. That's the biggest thing from a selfish and a personal perspective is that everything's settled down now, thankfully. So the plan is to go back to work as normal after the New Year's break. So going to enjoy the last week off and then get back to how we should be. Like I've said to you before privately, and I say to everyone that talks to me about it, like I don't put these things out there for sympathy.
Yeah.
I do it because I want to make people aware, and I don't think that men's mental health is talked about enough.
No.
I think it's a lot better than it was a few years ago, absolutely, but I still think more can be done. I think it's great that you've seen professional sportsmen talk out about their battles. I remember Danny Rose being one of the first ones, I think just before or after the Euro 2018 World Cup. Yeah. Like anything, it snowballs, positive or negative. If you can get one or two to do it, especially in the public eye, then others feel they can come out and do it, which is great. And then I think if you certainly see people that are celebrities and heroes doing it, then you feel more comfortable yourself. But I'm comfortable talking about it. I've got no issue with that. I'm comfortable getting emotional about it. That's part of me now, and I'm fully on board with that. That's what it is. It was tough from probably October through November right into December in terms of side effects of different medications and that types of thing. And I did a little video journal middle of October, just sort of 36 hours in the life of someone who's trying to deal with it. And it's on my YouTube channel if people want to go and watch it. And if it helps, then happy days. Because if one person's rung the doctor just by watching me for half an hour, then I've done my bit. I've had loads of people have messaged me, said they've contacted GPs. I had someone come up to me at Gills v Sutton a couple of nights ago and said, Like I wouldn't have thought of speaking out until I saw you doing it. So that's the reason I do it. I'm not doing it for sympathy. I know there's the odd arsehole out there that'll have a pop. They did a couple of weeks ago. It says more about them than it does me at the end of the day. So I don't do it. I'm not doing it for attention. I'm doing it to bring attention to the subject. It's not for attention on me. If I get sympathy organically because of what I'm doing, then fair enough, and happily, and I'll appreciate that. And I've said thank you to everyone that has supported me, yourself, everybody on social media, everybody that's come up and asked me I am out at games. That's a byproduct of talking about it, but that's not my end game. That's not my aim when talking about mental health. I want to try and help people get better. We lost a Gills fan a couple of months ago because they felt that was the only option. And we don't want people doing that. We want people to be able to talk. We want people to realise that there's people that love them and appreciate them and are there for them. And the more we keep talking about it and the more we almost normalise it, I think the better off we'll be. Well, we've still got a lot to do. I think another podcast related to Gills, the ME7 podcast, are going to set up a group that has regular sort of monthly podcasts about the subject in the new year, which is absolutely brilliant. It was put to me and I chose not to because I didn't want to commit to it and then not have the time, because it's not a subject that you can go into half-assed. So that was my reason for not being involved and taking the project on myself. So fair play to them lads that are doing it. I think it's a brilliant initiative. They know that they'll probably get grief from some quarters because of it, but we know what social media is like, Lee. It's a horrible place. It can be toxic at times, but I've generally seen the best of it over the last 3 months, with people messaging and replying and reposting my tweets, asking how I'm doing, saying that they've gone and got help, all that type of thing. So I'll never stop talking about it. I'll never stop beating the drum. Like I say, it's part of me now. And I've made my peace with that. I've made my peace with the fact that I've now got to take medication to help me out. And that's what I struggled with at the start of this process. I didn't want to be governed by tablets. But someone said to me, well, if you've got a headache, you take a paracetamol. So what's the difference? If you've cut your leg, you put a plaster on it. If you broke your leg, you go to the hospital. It's no different. It just means people can't see it and it's not as obvious. But no, thankfully, I'm doing a lot better. I'm back to pretty much where I wanted to be. Christmas has been a great help. So I'll keep talking. I'll keep tweeting. For all those that hate it, I'll keep posting pictures of me cooking as well.
Master
If you don't like it, scroll past. That's what I'm going to say to the people that want to have a pop. You don't have to get involved. But like I said at the beginning, it says more about these individuals if they think they can have a pop at someone with mental health. It's a funny approach to life. But for all the people that have done the right thing and asked how we're doing and gone to the doctors themselves, well done to you, because talking helps. It really does. Still saying it's simple. Problem shared is a problem halved and all that. And I'm not saying that the whole process of mental health is that simple. It's not. But if you do talk, I think you feel a lot better. And whether that's a friend or a relative or a stranger or someone in the professional, like a GP or a counsellor, do it. That would be my biggest point of advice. And ask your friends how they're doing. Don't think you can't ask your mates how they are. And I know it's a masculine thing where you'd be like, oh, how you doing? You'd be like, what are you asking me that for? But you don't know how people are feeling behind the mask, so to speak. I mean, if you go back and look at pictures of me 3 months ago, I don't look too different to how I do today. I'm still ugly. I get that. That's fine. Before someone tells me. But people can put on an act.
100%.
Don't be ashamed to ask your mates how they're doing, and don't be ashamed to tell your mates if they have asked that you're struggling.
Yeah, and I think you'll touch on this, obviously. I think you're amazed how many people do reach out and do offer the support. So don't be ashamed to talk about it. Or I've said numerous times to anyone, it don't matter who you are. I couldn't know you from Adam. Just drop me an inbox if you want to chat. Just take your mind off things. Exactly. Matt will be the same.
Absolutely. Yeah. If that's about football, just something you've done that day, or if you want to tell me about your problems, that's fine. I'm not an expert and I never profess to be, but I'm always willing to listen.
Exactly, mate. And that's all we can do. But no, absolute legend for speaking out about it, because you're a top guy, and it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on this talking club, because you speak so well about your football club and just football in general. You're a proper football master, as I like to call you. And like I said, become really good pals with you now. So I'm hoping one day I can get down to a Gills game and sit with you. And
that'd be good. Yeah, definitely. Well, let me know if you do, and I'll buy you a ticket.
Lovely stuff. Appreciate that, mate. Absolute pleasure to have you on. Talking clubs, Matt. Last one, mate. Just give you a plug and anyone that you'd like to see on this next episode.
Ooh, that's a tricky one. I'll give myself a plug. That's easy. Yeah, if you can go and press the subscribe button on Gills in the Blood TV on YouTube, it'd be absolutely brilliant. We're trying to get to 3,000 subscribers as quick as we can. I think we're about 140 away, which would be monumental for just this bloke who started talking into his phone about 6 years ago and still sometimes struggles to believe how it's grown from there. But yeah, we're on YouTube. Like I say, if you want to go and follow the Instagram page, if you don't like football, don't, because there's nothing else on there. Yeah, and we're on Twitter as well. So at Gills in the Blood TV, it's an easy one to remember. I love talking football with anyone, whether that's Sheffield Wednesday fan, other Gills fans, Premier League fans. I'll sit and talk about football all day long. So yeah, that's me. If you've got any issues with mental health related stuff, then drop me a message as well, and I'm willing to talk about that as well. In terms of next, I know a really good one from when they were down in League One with us, and they're now back in the Championship. Graham from What Foul Podcast. It's a Sunderland podcast.
Right, I'll reach out to him then and hopefully get him on for episode 4 of Talking Clubs. But Matt, absolute pleasure to have you on. We've smashed an hour here now. I don't know how we've done it.
It's been brilliant. Really enjoyed it. Thank you, mate.
No worries. And drop this guy a subscribe. Let's get him to 3,000. And his content's absolutely fantastic. Matt, thanks for coming on, mate. Thanks everyone for watching. Have a great New Year. This will be out New Year's Day, fingers crossed. So thanks for watching, everyone. Cheers.